All right, let's just say it, we are drowning in AI hype. But for most businesses, turning all that buzz into actual real-world results, well, that's a huge challenge. So in this explainer, we're gonna break down a much more disciplined way to engineer AI that creates real, trustworthy business impact. I mean, this is the question haunting boardrooms everywhere, right? Companies are pouring time, money, and their best people into AI, but those game-changing results they were promised? A lot of the time, they just don't show up. So what is going on here? Why is this so hard?
Well, a lot of the time, it comes down to a really simple mistake. In this frantic race to do AI, so many businesses are just chasing the trend. They're starting projects that are all about the cool new tech, instead of starting with a specific, meaningful business problem that actually needs to be solved.
Okay, but here's the good news. There is a much better way. It just requires a pretty fundamental shift in thinking, moving away from chasing trends and instead leaning into a disciplined, structured approach to engineering AI. Let's really dig into what that difference looks like in practice. And this slide really just lays it all out, doesn't it? On one side, you've got the hype-driven approach, adding shiny features just because you can, running these little experiments that don't really go anywhere, and at the end of the day, you have no clue what your ROI is. But on the other side, that's the disciplined path. It's all about real business value, building solutions that people can actually trust, and defining success with outcomes you can literally measure. And all of this really leads us to this core idea of trustworthy AI. And look, this isn't just about having powerful algorithms. It's so much bigger than that. It's about a whole approach to engineering AI that's not just technically brilliant, but is also designed around real human needs and, built with total integrity. This is AI that's actually meant to last.
So, where does this kind of approach come from? Well, the source material really grounds it in a deep foundation of experience. We're talking about over 25 years in the game, a team of more than 650 engineers, and literally thousands of solutions delivered. The whole point is that this kind of deep domain expertise is absolutely crucial if you're going to build AI that people can actually rely on.
Okay, so how do you actually do this? It's definitely not magic. It comes down to a proven method. Let's walk through the step-by-step path that takes you from just an idea to genuine bottom-line impact. So the whole process really breaks down into 4 critical stages, and it all starts with getting crystal clear on the business problem. Not the tech, the problem. Then you have to be really honest and assess your data readiness, because let's face it, AI is only ever as good as the data it's trained on. Next, you have to define what success looks like with measurable outcomes before you even start building. And finally, you've got to design an architecture that can scale so the solution can actually grow with your business. You see, the really crucial point here is this. This whole methodology isn't about running a bunch of short-term experiments and seeing what sticks. No, it's about engineering robust, reliable solutions that become a totally natural and powerful part of how you work every single day. All right, so the theory sounds great, but what does this actually look like in the real world? Let's take a look at how this kind of disciplined process transforms lines of code into a real, tangible competitive edge. Okay, let's take a look at a really common scenario. Imagine a global SaaS platform, software as a service, that wanted to improve its user experience, make it stickier, more engaging. It's a classic business challenge that a lot of companies face. So by implementing a really carefully engineered recommendation engine, what happened? The platform saw a 20% boost in user engagement. I mean, that is a perfect example of drawing a straight line from a specific business problem to a measurable, incredibly valuable outcome. Okay, here's another great example. Think about an enterprise client that was just getting bogged down by these super inefficient, time-consuming manual processes. I'm sure that's a pain point that a lot of us can relate to. Well, by applying AI-driven automation, they were able to cut those manual workloads by nearly a third. A third! Just think about that. Imagine getting a third of your team's time back. That's not just an efficiency gain. That is a complete transformation. Okay, so as we start to wrap this up, what's the single most important idea you should walk away with from all of this? It really comes down to this. We have to completely reframe how we think about this stuff. The goal of AI isn't just to, sprinkle some shiny new features onto your product.
The real purpose, the true purpose, is to build a deep, sustainable competitive advantage that truly sets you apart from everyone else.
And that leaves us with one final question for you to think about for your own strategy. When you look at your AI initiatives, are you just building another feature? Or are you engineering a true lasting advantage?